Sun on my Sunday best. Every day can be. Alrighty, welcome to Wellness Wednesday, everyone. We're so excited you can be here with us today. I see so many familiar faces and some new faces. So I'm really excited for this meeting because we have a lot of great things planned by our very own Our Minds Matter student interns.
Hi there. I'm one of the student interns. We're really excited to have you all here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now, and we'll go ahead and get started. All right, can everybody see that?
I can.
Okay, perfect. So welcome. Like we said, we're really excited to have you here. We're going to do, as interns, our introductions in a couple of slides. But first, we did want to discuss some virtual meeting etiquette.
Alrighty, great. So just first and foremost, this meeting is being recorded, but no faces are being recorded. It's just the slides. Eden dropped in the link bit.ly/OMM hello. We would love for you to sign in so we know who's here and so you can get a recap email after this meeting. If you can take a minute, everyone, to rename yourself using your pronouns beside your name. So I just changed mine as an example. That would be great. Also, in general, just mute yourself when you're not speaking so we can limit any distractions that might come up. You can use the chat box to write any questions or comments throughout this meeting. Also, if you need any mental health support during this presentation, you can privately chat me, Laura Beth. And if you receive any unwanted messages, you can privately chat Catherine Royston. And then additionally, there's the raise the hand feature on Zoom. So if you follow these instructions by clicking on participants, and then next you'll be able to see on the next slide where you would click raise hand, and please use this feature throughout the presentation. So then that way our student interns can call on you if you have something you want to share. And that way we can make sure that everyone gets the opportunity to speak and be heard.
So on to the activity. Today we are going to do a couple of icebreakers to help you connect with the other participants. And then we're gonna learn about some mental health myths versus facts, and we're gonna play a fun Kahoot game. So get excited.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute. But quick introductions. My name is Zori, and I'm a rising college freshman.
I'm Michaela. I'm one of the other student interns. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a rising high school junior.
Hey everyone, I'm Eden. I'm a rising senior. I just got my wisdom teeth out, so I won't be talking on here a lot, but I'm very happy to see you all, and I'll be happy to answer any questions in the chat.
I'm a Bon, she, her, and I am also a rising senior. Yeah, I'm really excited to work with you guys.
And also a quick shout out to another member of our intern team, Gerline. She's having some trouble joining right now, but she's also, I believe, a rising high school senior and worked super hard along with us on designing a super interactive session today. So without further ado, I'm going to walk you guys really quickly through an outline of today. First, we're going to start off with an icebreaker activity in breakout rooms, and it's all going to be about finding things in common with each other. Then we're very lucky to have a speaker who can speak to us about mindfulness myths and science. And listen carefully, because afterwards we're going to be doing a Kahoot game where you may see some of those facts and ideas come up again. But this isn't just any Kahoot game. We're also going to be including swag prizes for the top 3 finalists. After the Kahoot game, we're going to do an activity discussion that's sort of based off of different concepts about self-care, mindfulness, and mental wellness that we discussed in the Kahoot. We're going to break it out to a full group discussion, and we're going to end with a really fascinating moving meditation. So I hope you guys are excited as we are. So to begin, the icebreaker activity. So it's called Something in Common. And if momentarily, we're going to be moving you guys all into breakout rooms of 3 people. And in these groups, want you to try to find as many things as you all share in common. And after we rejoin together as a full group, be prepared to share one of the more unique things that you come up with. We'll also be sending prompt categories in the chat to give you some ideas, and you're going to have 4 minutes to do that. Also, really quickly, I wanted to mention, if you do have the time, the Kahoot game is going to be starting in a few minutes, but just make sure that you have an additional device handy. It'll make playing the game a little bit easier, but Michaela will get into more of the specifics when we get there. But for now, let's split up into breakout rooms.
Hi, Jen. Sorry I'm late. It's okay. We're in some breakout rooms, but we're returning to the main room in about like 2 seconds.
Okay. How's it going so far?
It's going well.
Good. I'm gonna mute.
So yeah, we're gonna give everybody a couple of minutes to come back together, and then we'll hear all the different things we have in common.
That was so fun.
I also want to shout out, we've just been joined by the next member of our intern team, Gurleen. She's fantastic. She helped us put together this activity. I think she's connected, so if Gurleen, you want to say hello?
Yeah, hi guys. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm really sorry I was super late in joining, but I'm really excited for the activity today. I think everyone will really like it.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I think hopefully everybody's come back from breakout rooms now. Now what I want to invite you guys to do is, if just one representative of each breakout room group can, share with everybody else what you guys found out that you had in common.
Does Lulu want to go from our group?
Yeah, sure, I'll go. So we found 4 things in common. We all loved chocolate. We've all traveled outside of the country at some point in our lives. We've all loved Disney, and we all think mental health is important.
Awesome. You guys sound like a really great group. That's amazing that you found not 1, but 4 things. Fantastic. All right. Anybody else? You can use the raise hand feature, and then we can call you to come on.
Ira, I saw your hand up. If you want to go ahead.
Yes, I think Corinne and I, we spent the full 3 minutes talking about avocados and guacamole. So I guess that was the main commonality, that we both love avocados and we can do so much with them.
Awesome.
Fantastic. I see Xander, you have your hand up. You were in my group.
Our group, we all had in common, we all had a very diverse taste in music.
Yep. Oh, here, I see you have your name. Yep.
Okay, so we talked the entire time about food, specifically cheesecake, and how we liked red velvet cheesecake. And then we talked about how red velvet cupcakes are also good, and that we actually turned them into sandwiches and like what we would call those. And then we were like, oh, those are called red velvet cupcake macarons, and that could be a product in the future, so stay tuned.
Yes. Wow. Please follow up with that. Oh my gosh, I'd be like the first customer. That sounds incredible. All right. Any other groups?
Hi, we had a group. It was Bibu and Alondra and Janita was in my group, and all love Netflix, although a variety of different shows. All love art, and Alondra and Janita and Bibu both do art, and then everybody loves makeup and trying new things there. So
fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay. Well, if we don't have any other groups, we will continue. Let me go back to sharing my screen real quick. Okay. All right, great. So yeah, thank you guys all so much for sharing. I know it's always a wonderful way to foster connection is reflecting on the things that we have in common. And now time for some mindfulness myths and science. I know I, for one, have been super excited for this. So please take it away.
Thank you, Zori. Welcome, everybody. And thanks for having me back. I'm really thrilled to be back. So I just wanted to take just a couple minutes to talk about some of the myths in mindfulness. So I listed them, and I should have actually asked you guys what you thought before listing them. So I think that a lot of people, by a show of hands, like who believes that mindfulness will make you calm? Right? Show of hands, right? So a lot of people, a good amount of people believe that, oh, if I do mindfulness, I can be calm. And then who in here says, I can't sit still? I'm not good at it. I'm doing this wrong, right? So all of you are winners in the game of the myths of mindfulness because it doesn't make you calm. It's okay if you can't sit still and you're not doing it wrong. So the flip side of all this is mindfulness is a way for us to pay attention to what's going on. Like you've been told your whole life, or I believe I've been told, a lot of my life, just pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. But has anybody ever really showed us how to pay attention? Right? No. So and if I told you that mindfulness was a skill that you were born with, who would believe me? Would anybody believe me? But you are, because mindfulness can be done through the 5 senses. So because we have the 5 senses, we're born with the 5 senses, you are born to pay attention, you are born to be mindful. We just spend a lot of time up here in our minds rather than in our bodies, where really how we experience the world is through our bodies. Does this make sense? Yeah. So what I'm going to try and have you do over the next, over the course of the weeks is, yes, we'll have some practices where we will like sit still, but mostly what I'd like you to experiment, or I'd invite you to experiment, is how do we take this quality of like paying attention to our whole lives, so that when we're brushing our teeth, we're really okay brushing our teeth, because that's like some place that we don't pay attention to how we're brushing our teeth. When you're taking a shower, pay attention to how the water is falling on you. Pay attention to putting the shampoo in your hand or the body wash or the soap. Feel it in your hands. We don't take the time because we're up here and we're thinking about the next thing to do, or the thing behind us, in the past, or what someone said to us and our reaction. Like we're always in the story. So I'm going to invite you to take one activity that you do regularly and just pay attention and notice, and then we can talk about it next week when you come back. So the other thing, the first myth about mindfulness making you calm, all we're doing is we're bringing attention to our present experience. So we might be really agitated. So you go into like mindfulness, like quote unquote mindfulness, to this quiet spot, and you think you have to be still, and you just notice your mind is going everywhere. Okay, this is making me more anxious. Okay, my mind is really like a ping pong table, or one of those, pinball machine, like a pinball machine, right? That's how our minds work. Well, they're supposed to work like that. We don't want to pay attention to it because it's so distracting. So it's really about how do we come back to presence? Like, how do we come back to right here? So one of the things, this is actually a trick that you can do, is just to wiggle your toes. So seriously, right now, just wiggle your toes and feel how that feels in your body. It might feel a little silly, right? But notice actually, if you can, maybe close your eyes. And as you're wiggling your toes, notice how far up your legs you can feel that sensation. Maybe you can feel it like I can feel it like all the way up to my abdominals. Like, oh, my abs are working. and then go ahead and release them, and notice how that feels different in your body, and how you can pay attention to the soles of your feet, and then open your eyes. So this is simple. Like, it's simple, but it's not easy, right? So there are all these different ways that we can come into paying attention to what's going on to our present moment experience. But wiggling your toes, that's like a thing that you can practice this week. I love that. It's like a simple thing, especially when we're up in anxiety. And the other thing that Alyssa and I spoke of was the take 5, like the going into your 5 senses. So 5 things you can see, 4 things that you can hear, 3 things that you can touch, 2 that you taste, or 2 that you smell, and 1 that you taste. And it doesn't have to be in that order. It's just taking the 5 senses and you're coming back into, oh, what can I see? What can I hear? What can I touch? And the touch might be the air on your skin, right? The touch might be the clothing. The touch might be where my hands are resting on my lap, or I can feel the hair on the back of my neck. Like, we don't pay attention to a lot of this stuff. So the take 5, wiggling the toes. The other thing, if we can all, I'm going to do a quick lesson on the brain. So this is going to help hopefully with the quiz. So pay attention, pay attention. So if everybody makes a fist, go ahead and make a fist, and the thumb is inside. So it's like that, yeah. So if you imagined that my hand was the brain, and that my arm is the brain stem, and the bottom of the brain is the hippocampus, and that's responsible for memory. And Zori can tell you the story as to how to remember that, but she'll tell you that after the quiz. Then we have the thumb is the amygdala, which is, and if I had 2 thumbs, like there's amygdala on each side of the brain, and that's where the reptilian part of our brain, where our emotions live. And actually we make a lot of our decisions from the emotional brain, and it's okay, but that's how we actually live. And that's where the fight, flight, freeze. So we say the fight or flight, but there's also the freeze response and the stress response. And so we're all in this, you know, time of like heaviness and high stress. So we might sometimes be in the freeze response feeling like, oh, unmotivated, we can't do anything. So that could be a stress response, just to know that. And then the front of the brain, which is the prefrontal cortex, where like the right behind the forehead, that's where all the decision making. And our brains, and I think you all know this, develop from the youngest, so like we first develop the back of the brain to the front of the brain. So our brain isn't fully developed until we're 25, right? So the decision making and the cognitive part of the brain sometimes can be difficult to access. So if we have, I want you to go home or to someone, maybe a sibling or someone that you're FaceTiming with, and teach them about the brain. Because when we have stress, the amygdala activates and we flip our lids. So not only like literally we flip our lids, like I sometimes can get angry, oftentimes. And so I flip my lid, right? Like, so we can't access, when we flip our lids, we can't access the front part of the brain, and we can't access the memory. So when you're in a quiz or a pop quiz situation or a test and you start panicking, like you don't have access to the memory or to the good decision making. So, you know, coming back and like wiggling your toes, taking some deep breaths can really help yourself come back online. So it's something you can't do wrong. You're just paying attention to your experience. You're also doing it with some kindness. So think about a best friend or someone who, you know, you feel a lot of tenderness for. You know, we like that's how you judge your own experience. We tend to be so hard, and we talked a lot about this in our last sessions, like tend to be hard on ourselves. So just notice, oh, there's the anxiety. instead of saying, oh, it's back and I can't believe and I'm always going to be like this and it's never going to change. Oh, there's that anxiety. There it is. You know, so just having this shift in an attitude of like, oh, you're not going to be mean to your best friend if they come to tell you that they're feeling anxious and unhappy, or, you know, it's just part of the experience. So the more that you can just show up for yourself with this more kindness and gentleness, the kinder and gentler we are to ourselves, the better we're going to be to others around us. So wiggling your toes, show the hand model, like flip the lid. When I teach it to little kids, I say that the wise owl is the front of the brain and then the barking dog is the amygdala. So if you have, maybe you babysit or you have younger cousins or younger siblings, you know, you can explain it to them and then have them teach it back to you or to somebody else in their family. So that's it. That's what I'm going to say today.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I know we can take so much away from what you've shared with us, from sort of those daily, really approachable mindfulness practices, to knowing that we can't do it wrong, and really approaching ourselves with kindness and patience. Awesome. All right. Well, I hope you guys are ready and have a little bit of a competitive spirit, because now we're going to get into the Kahoot. And in this Kahoot, you'll see things about sleep, self-care, mindfulness, and even more. We will be sharing this after, but like I mentioned earlier, the top 3 finalists will be receiving a prize. And so, yeah, from there, I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over to Michaela.
Awesome. Well, I will just pull this up. Here we go. So take out your phone or open up another tab on your computer, and you can go to www.kahoot.it and type in that game pin. And then I'm just going to go a little bit over how Kahoot works in case there's anybody who's never played it in school before. So when we start the Kahoot, the question and all the answer choices will appear up on the screen and on my screen, and then on your phone or on your second tab, you'll just see a bunch of colored boxes, and you have to match the answers on the screen to the colored boxes on your phone. And some questions have multiple correct answers, but even if a question has multiple correct answers, you can only select one. So I'm just going to give everyone a minute to file on in. So you have 11 people on here so far. All right, I see 12 players, 13 players. Is anybody else trying to get on? I know sometimes Kahoot can be a little finicky if your Wi-Fi connection isn't super strong. But I'll give everyone just another minute.
And it's okay if you don't want to play and you just want to sit back and watch, that's fine. But you can chat us too if you're having any issues, and we can try to troubleshoot through the chat box.
So it looks like we have 12 players. I'm going to get started. If you're still struggling to get on, that's okay. You can join at the game at any point. But we're going to get started. So here we go. All right, true or false? It is a good idea to avoid talking about mental health. Well, it's indeed important to respect others' privacy surrounding personal mental health. Overall, avoiding conversation about mental health can contribute to stigma. So congrats to Lulu for coming in first place for our first question. All right. How many adults in America do not get enough sleep? So this statistics, 1 in 3 adults in America do not get enough sleep, comes from a CDC report that asked adults between the ages of 18 and 60 whether or not they get the recommended 7 hours of sleep per night. See that Lulu is still in first place. One sleepless night can have a similar effect on you as a blood alcohol content of. So one sleepless night has a similar cognitive effect on you as having a blood alcohol content of 0.1%. And for reference, Virginia, and I believe it's the same in Maryland and many other states, the legal driving limit for blood alcohol content is 0.08%. So one sleepless night can have a similar cognitive effect as driving drunk. Lulu is still in the lead. Congratulations. In 2017, what percentage of US youth regularly engaged in mindfulness? So 5.4% of youth regularly engaged in mindfulness. Lulu still has the lead. What age group is most likely to meditate? So 18 to 24-year-olds are the age group that are most likely to meditate.
Wow, Lulu and Xander, you're crushing it.
Mental health is so mental health is an essential part of overall health and well-being. And the point is here that everyone has mental health, and there are daily steps that we can take to maintain it, just like we can for our physical health. In what way or ways are mental health and physical health related? Yeah, so they're related because people with health issues in those areas, they both deserve support, and there are proactive ways to retain and maintain your health, both physical and mentally. And part of erasing the stigma against mental health is recognizing, as I said earlier, that both mental health and physical health are essential to having a healthy lifestyle.
Aaron has overtaken Xander.
Which is not a good example of self-care. Yep, I'm glad you all got this one correct. So we actually discussed this in a previous Wellness Wednesday session about the power of saying no, which is important because by saying no, you establish boundaries with your peers and you don't overcommit yourself. Practicing mindfulness regularly can Yeah. So as Corinne mentioned earlier, the point of mindfulness is not to help you ignore your stress or your feelings. It's rather to help you become aware of those feelings and that stress and to help you organize them. It can't make you immune to mental illness either. It's not possible. But research does show that practicing mindfulness regularly can fatten your brainstem, which will help you process emotions better. And it can also turn off some genes that are linked to inflammation, which will lead to a healthier, longer life.
Xander takes the lead.
Next, how many pieces of information can our brains process every second? Yeah, so I thought this was pretty interesting. Our senses can actually process millions and millions of information per second, but our conscious minds can only process 126 pieces of information. A Hungarian-American researcher actually wrote about this in a book, and he pointed out that there's always so much more that we are not attending to than what we are. So it's kind of humbling.
All right, now the final stretch. And for those of you on the leaderboard, congratulations. But even if you aren't, there is still time for an upset. So we're in our last 5. True or false? It is normal for your mind to wander during mindfulness meditation. All right, yes, it is very, very normal. And again, this was sort of discussed earlier, but one reason why so many people become frustrated with mindfulness exercises is because they feel like they have to be completely focused on the task at hand. But mind wandering is actually supernatural. And a Psychology Today article suggests that every time you notice that your mind has wandered and you bring it back to the present moment, you are actually practicing and cultivating your mindfulness. So keep practicing. Next. Mindfulness and relaxation are the same thing. True or false? Oh, that was quick. Okay, cool. Yes, correct. You guys clearly listened very intently. Mindfulness and relaxation are not the same thing. Mindfulness is all about an awareness of how you're feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally, an awareness of the environment around you. While relaxation is more about being free of tension. And so while relaxation can be a side effect of mindfulness, it's definitely not the end goal. Right. Sleep deprivation causes memory loss. Which region of the brain is responsible for memory? Yes, looks like you guys are listening. And my team members can tell you I've been so excited to share this. But in AP Psychology, the way that we remember what the hippocampus does is if you ever saw a hippo on campus, you would never forget it. So it's pretty cheesy, but it definitely has helped me remember the hippocampus purposes. True or false? I can't do anything for someone with a mental illness. Yes, very good. That is false. And so while you can't necessarily provide the same services that a mental health professional can, you absolutely can listen to their needs, encourage and support them in seeking help, and provide connection and emotional support. And these are all very important things that you can do. Last question. Ooh, I can feel the pressure building up. So, why is self-care important? Yes, these are actually all correct answers. Self-care can look different for everybody. It can come into effect at different points in our life, but it is absolutely essential for all of the reasons that we've listed and more. So now to see the final scoreboard. Okay.
Are you ready? In third place, Samir, congratulations. Sam, second place, congratulations. Xander, congratulations on first place.
Oh, and I see we have our runners-up are Lulu and EG. So congratulations to you guys as well. And to everybody. I was shocked. I don't think I've ever seen a Kahoot where there were more people who selected like the right answers and everybody got the question right. So that was phenomenal. And now if I can take back the screen share, I'm going to show you guys our top 3, what you will be receiving. Okay. So we have OMM swag for you guys. Laura Beth, if you want to clarify which place will receive which item.
Yeah, so you guys will all receive a t-shirt and water bottle and one of the designs of our laptop stickers, which are the icons there. So make sure that you signed in, and so that way we can email you and get your t-shirt size and preferred shipping address.
Fantastic. So yeah, congratulations to all of our winners and to everybody who played. Thank you guys so much. I hope that you enjoyed that and hopefully got to take away some facts as well.
Hey everybody, so I'm going to jump in now. We are going to have a little bit of a discussion just on what we just learned about through that really fun Kahoot. So thank you guys. And first and foremost, I just wanted to bring us back to our zones, just so we can talk about this real quick. In our Wellness Wednesdays, we're really trying to create a comfortable environment. So we really want you guys, it's totally okay to be in your comfort zone a lot of the time. During these discussions, we also really encourage you guys to be talking about things that help us all grow. So things that maybe push your boundaries a little bit, but where you still feel safe. And we just want to be mindful of not saying things that could potentially push ourselves or other people into the danger zone. So avoiding specifically triggering content or topics, just so that we can really help everyone feel like they have a safe space here. So that's just a little reminder. Yeah, so now we're going to split out into small breakout groups for maybe 4 minutes. And I'm going to send these questions in the chat right now. Sorry, don't worry. Totally don't worry if you can't get to all of them in the time that we're provided, but we just kind of want to give a little start to the conversation, and then we're actually going to reconvene and have a little mini discussion all together. So just to reiterate, the 4 questions are, why do you think students continually suffer from sleep deprivation, and what things are in our control to get a better night's sleep? In what ways can we try to achieve a better work-school life balance? Why can discussing mental health become stigmatized? Why is it important to combat that, and how can we? Do you incorporate, and finally, do you incorporate any mindfulness techniques into your daily routine or weekly or monthly? If not, totally don't worry, but do you have any ideas of ways you could maybe change that? So yeah, now we'll split into breakout groups and reconvene in a little bit.
So we're actually gonna just do a group discussion, if that's okay. It's okay. Just so we can respect people's time and finish up at 4. So, Eden, I would be happy for you to facilitate this discussion. So when people raise their hand in the chat box, I can call out their name and raise their hand in the participant box.
Yeah.
Go from there.
Yeah, so anybody feel free, if you have anything you'd like to share, to raise your hand. Jen, would you like to share your thoughts?
Yeah, about the question about the mindfulness practice, I actually, during the pandemic, kind of started my own personal mindfulness practice. And I've been using an app called Insight Timer that I really like. And I think the key to like building a practice is finding something that keeps you motivated. Like I like the app because every time I go in, I pick a different meditation and it can be 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever. And I don't know, it's just been helpful. So I thought I'd share.
Yeah, thank you so much. Does anyone else have things they've been doing specifically during the pandemic? Because I think that can sometimes, I mean, for me especially, that's been a time where I've been able to incorporate some new mindfulness techniques. Sehi, would you like to share?
For me, I've been kind of waking up and taking some time to myself before I do anything. And then after I do that, well, no, the night before I set a routine of things I want to get done the next day. So I still have some sort of structure.
I think that's a really fantastic idea. It can sometimes be easy to feel like there's nothing going on. So it's good to build a little bit of structure for ourselves. Sarah, do you want to share?
Yeah, so during this whole like quarantine and like the summer and everything being like everything has been really shut down and I'm usually at home. So usually like before the quarantine started, I never really went outside and never really had a time to like exercise and just like get motivated to go outside and like run or walk. And then quarantine came and it like literally like I just spent most of my time at home. So I've been trying to like get up every day and try to like even if it's just like a walk or whatever. I've been trying to incorporate that and I felt like I like to share that. And yeah.
Yeah, would anyone else like to share anything on that, or do you want to does anyone want to talk about sleep? Because I know that's something that we can struggle with, and maybe it's not as much something that's an issue right now, but I do know that sometimes stress can contribute to having a harder time sleeping, and we can just get an unhealthy habit. So does anyone have any ideas of maybe why they have personally struggled with getting enough sleep, or students in general could, and ways to help improve that?
I feel like I definitely got a lot less sleep during school, and for me personally, it's because of homework, and I feel like a lot of other students can relate.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree, and I think especially trying to fit in sports outside of that, or trying to fit in any sort of spending time with your friends, that sort of thing can be really hard to just to manage. Kyra, do you want to share?
Yes, I would say for me, like a big culprit is my phone and specifically like social media. Just learning, I guess I don't know how I'm gonna work it out, but it's been something I've been working on since the beginning of quarantine is to just like once it hits 9 p.m., put away my technology, log out of Instagram, no more TikTok. I just think that's the hardest thing for me. It's been knowing like setting those boundaries when to stop going on my phone to help me like, get ready for bedtime.
Absolutely. I very much have fallen prey to that habit as well. Samir?
Yeah, so for me personally, I've actually been getting less sleep in quarantine. And I think it's because there's like less of that drive to go to sleep so I can wake up early for school, and more of, oh, I'm free, I have so much time. Let me spend all my time on TikTok. Let me spend all my time on YouTube. And end up spending so much time watching videos, watching Netflix, scrolling through TikTok, that I just like lose track of time. And then as a result, I don't get enough sleep. So like Jairo was saying, I need to start setting more boundaries and specifically hold myself back from just using social media all the time.
Yeah, and I think it's also really important to remember just to be really understanding of ourselves and our shortcomings during this time. Like it's a really hard time, at least for me, and I think for lots of people, it's a really hard time to stay motivated and to try and keep up a routine and try to keep up healthy habits when we're just not getting all of the self-care that we need, you know, by interacting and by getting out at the house and all that sort of stuff. So I think these are all really great ideas of habits we can help. But I just want everyone to remember to just still like take care of yourself. Like remember that to just be understanding of our own shortcomings, I think can be super important. Does anyone have anything else they'd want to share real quick before we head into the mindfulness moving meditation? In that case, Kareen, I will hand it over to you. And thank you guys so much for giving some input and ideas.
Thank you. So instead of doing mindful walking with our feet, we're going to do it with our hands because I just want, this is another way to do it. And maybe next week, I'll do a longer presentation where we can do some walking. So I don't know if you can see, but I want you to be able to see like my lap. So your hands, if they're on your lap, you know, they can just rest on your lap. You just can't see mine if I rest them on my lap. So when you inhale, you'll just raise one hand, and on the exhale, bring it down. Breathing in, raise the other hand. And exhale, bring it down. So just like that, just a few breaths. And have your hands be soft. You can close your eyes or cast them down. Have your hands be soft, like as if they're paintbrushes and they're like just softly, soft little strokes. So just moving with the breath. Let the breath direct the movement of the hands. And notice what it feels like in your arm when your hand lifts. Notice how it feels on your leg when your hand rests on it. Notice how far up the arm you can feel the sensation move, maybe all the way to the neck. Just be really curious about movement of the hand with the breath. And this is an option for a walking meditation. So maybe your leg is injured or you don't have the time to do a few minutes of walking meditation. So this can absolutely be used in lieu of that. And again, your mind might be wandering, and that's perfectly okay. Just bring it back to the sensation of the hands. You can also just say to yourself the words like breathe in, breathe out, or inhale and exhale. And so last two. And see if you can lengthen the exhale on this. Nice and slow on the exhale. And after your last breath, just keep your eyes closed for a moment or keep them cast down. And just take a moment to check in internally, noticing how you're feeling. And gently open your eyes to come back to the present moment. All right. So thanks everybody. I'm going to start off the announcements. I hope everybody's feeling, so that's a really like quick and easy little trick. There's through the Safe Community Coalition, which I sit on, there's something called We Coach, which is a peer-to-peer circle model where community of teens and young adults are coming together in about 10 in a group to talk about particular issues that may arise. And it's a 4-week commitment from the middle of July through the middle of August. So you all can check out the announcement, and it's peer-led and peer-supported. And there'll be one adult in the group just to oversee it, but the peers are running them. So that's my announcement.
Great, thank you so much.
Thanks, Laura Beth.
We will be sending out a link in our recap email that we send out following all of our Wellness Wednesday meetings. I just dropped in the short link in the chat box, so you have that in case you joined us late today. So for next week, we have our guest speaker, the JCK Foundation, and they're focused on providing students a place to build resiliency and also connect with their community. And I think this will be a really great opportunity. And just so you know, the format of our series for Wellness Wednesdays will be every other week we have a guest speaker, and then every week after that will be our intern team, such as today, leading these sessions. So I think you'll really enjoy all the activities that they put together for you guys. The next activity is based on self-care and kindness. So we really hope you'll come, and they'll be sending out flyers and such so you can join us next week.
Yeah, and on our behalf, we want to thank you all so much for coming in. We've had a wonderful time, and we hope you have as well.
Great job. So happy to see all of you guys, and hope to see you again next week. And on the next slide, as always, if you need any type of additional support, we have some resources you can use. And we'll stay on just for a few more minutes in case anyone has any questions for us. If not, have a great day.